Oh my God. We let her go through everything that Linda Doyle, who's still her friend, Joni Sweeney, who's still her friend, they hang out together even now. All the boys and girls, they're all just friends, just friends. I remember one time we were sitting on the front porch on Dick Street, and we had the fence around the house there. And Linda was leaning against the fence, and one of the twins, the DeWitt boys, was there talking to Bobby. I think it was Bobby DeWitt. And Bobby just went like this to her, touched her shoulder. And she gave him the elbow right in the gut. She, "Don't touch me." She did. I said, "Oh my God, poor Bobby. He's a good kid, nice parents and everything." She just said, "Don't touch me." He wasn't even doing anything, the poor kid. But her and David, of course, didn't play together because there was almost 4-year difference there. David would stay in the house, and he loved playing with his little cars. Between the dining room, well, the den and the living room was a little, about that much wood. He would drink with those all. Oh, he would love those. They loved watching the Mickey Mouse Club. Some of those things, like around supper time, they would watch the same shows together. But they had their own rooms. Linda loved music. She would have her music going in her room. David, he liked sports like his father, too. They really never argued, to tell you the truth. They never did. They were very, very good teenagers, and we never had a problem with them as teenagers. We never did.
How about my dad with sports? You know, he played a lot of sports.
Oh, he loved sports. He was on the hockey team at high school. He played football. I remember one time he was playing football down the town field there, and Grampy and I were in the car sitting on Burnside Street there. And, oh boy, somebody hit David hard. Knocked him right out, I think. And I started to get out of the car, and Grampy said, "Where are you going?" He said, "Son." He started the car. He said, "Get back in this car. You're not going to run out into the field and, oh, my baby boy." So he took me home. But David was all right. But you get afraid, you know. You don't want to see your kids get hurt. But he had a lot of friends. Even Louie was his friend. There was a 2-year difference. Louie was 2 years older. And I remember my kid sister Van would go down the park, and she was always one for grabbing the kids and hugging and kissing, like we all were. And she'd say to them, "I'm going to hug and kiss you, and I don't care how many of your friends are watching." So that's it. She would hug them and kiss them all over the place. But all the kids, they knew what kind of family we came from. It was a huggy, kissy family.
Still is.
Yeah, even with our grandmother growing up. She'd send us to the store, which was across the street almost, and she'd kiss us goodbye. We'd say, "Nana, we're only going to the store." She said, "But you never know what's going to happen. You kiss when you leave, and you kiss when you came back to." That's the way we were raised. That's the way we were raised. I remember one time she told Uncle Nick, before Uncle Nick got married, I don't know if we were living here in Quincy, it's just a memory. We must have been a little rambunctious that day, as 3 older kids, Kay and Keatsy and myself. And Nana, she must have had a headache or whatever, because she smoked too. Fatima cigarettes in the box. She told my Uncle Nick, "Take them down the basement there and give him a little whack across the behind there." So my uncle took us downstairs and sat us down. He didn't even touch us. He said, "Just make believe. If Nana said, 'Did I hit you?' say yes." But you gave us a little swat across the behind. Never touched us. He was the best uncle. He was wonderful. I loved him.
Now you said that you guys listened to a lot of music growing up, and didn't people sing too? Who are the musicians?
Oh,
and
my
people
mother
sang?
sang, my father sang, my Uncle Tom, my mother's brother, oh, he had a beautiful voice. He could translate Albanian into English, English into Albanian. My Uncle Nick loved to sing. Olga didn't like to sing too much, but she was a good hostess. My sister Kay didn't sing. Me and Grampy loved to sing. Vanjie too. I've got tapes of the even Keatsy. They didn't know too many of the Albanian songs, but we knew the Albanian songs too. And when my Uncle Nick had name days, we would sing all night, and even coming to our house, I have tapes of those too. There was always music going on. There was always music. We just loved music. I never remember getting hit. I remember Kay and I one day got our hair pulled because it was after midnight when we got home. Well, it was actually midnight, but we were afraid to ring the bell because we thought we'd be in trouble. And Ma was upstairs in the window, which was the bathroom window, looked over the sidewalk. She said, "Well, are you girls coming in or not?" "Ring the bell, I'll come down, open the door." And she went like this a little bit. And blah, 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 blah. Now, you know you're supposed to, 5 minutes before midnight is better than 5 minutes after midnight. And we'd go upstairs to our bedroom, we'd say, "Oh, why didn't she hit us instead of talking so much?" But my father never hit us. My father was, he almost did. Keatsy one time, I remember, Keatsy put his hand up like this to my father. And my father says, "What's that? Are you going to use it?" He put his hand down right away. But my father would have knocked him out.
Now, was your father a big guy? And you said your mom was short. How tall were they?
My father was, I would say, maybe 5'8" or 9", and he wasn't fat. He was solid, nice, dark, wavy hair, and he was, I would say, about maybe 12 years older than my mother, maybe even 15. But he loved her so much. I remember when, like I said, she had the long hair in a pug with the waves on the side here. And one day when Kay and I were getting a little bit older, maybe 12, 13, we said, "Ma, we're going to take you for a perm." And we did. Oh, she looked beautiful. She looked like 30 years old or whatever age she was. And I remember when my father came home, he would call her Mrs. Christo. And Nana was in the kitchen cooking. And Pop came in from work, from the store, and he saw Ma. He says, "Mrs. Christo, you look beautiful." He kissed her right in front of his mother. And she's making faces. Because she always sat in the front seat of the car. No matter who was driving, Nana sat in the front seat. The daughter-in-law could sit in the back.
That's funny.
She was funny.
That's funny.
But she was a strong person. She was a strong person. She wouldn't let us eat if we had nail polish on. No, we had to clean that nail polish off.
Oh gosh.
The women could not sit in her house with their legs crossed. Cam me cam. That means leg on top of leg in Albanian. I remember my Uncle Tom's wife, Praka, one day, my mother's sister-in-law came to visit, and she was sitting cross-legged, and Anna saw her, and she hit her like this. She did. And the poor woman was sitting like this. And my grandmother, she had a mouth. That's who Kay took after. She said, "What, are you taking someone's picture?" These things stick out in your mind. And then when she was sent to the store to buy flour, she was making yakrot or something, Get the flower that has the horse on it, King Arthur flower. Get the 10-pound bag, the one with the horse. So we knew it had to be King Arthur flower.
Oh,
Certain things stick out in your mind. You know, yeah. So what other questions you have for Grammy, honey?
Talk to me about Grampy, why you fell in love with him, the kind of person he was.
Oh, Grampy.
How he was, with his children and, everything about him. Because we loved him.
Grampy. There was nobody that loved kids more than Grampy. He loved his kids. They were his pride and joy.
That's what he always used to say.
And he loved me a lot, and I loved him. He just loved the kids. He was always sucking their cheeks in. Even to my cousin Barbara, who's a grandmother herself now. In fact, she made that picture taken at her son's wedding of us dancing. And even when I saw her last year, Barbara, she said, I remember Phil sucking my cheek in all the time. He loved his kids. And when Mary Beth was adopted, she was 5 years old. And the first time I met Mary Beth was at Travelers, where I was working. We had the counter then. And Linda came in and put Mary Beth on top of the counter. She was beautiful. She really was beautiful. And I came around my desk to the front of the counter, and Linda said, "This is your Grammy." And hugs and kisses, hugs and kisses. And she was so smart and very talkative. Very blah, 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 Mary Beth. Blondie. And we had the nicest boss. I forget his name, but he was the best boss. He was coming to go to lunch, coming out the doors to go to lunch, and he said, "Now who's this?" I said, "Oh, this is our daughter Linda, and this is my granddaughter." I said, "I'm just meeting her. She was adopted. She's 5 years old. Her name is Mary Beth." And he had a little conversation, and he gave her $10. He had adopted twin daughters.
Oh, really?
He said, "Now take the rest of the day off, and go to lunch."
That was nice.
So we did. We went to some restaurant by the waterfront there, had a nice lunch, and then I came home with them. And when Mary Beth that evening came to the house to meet Grampy, and she loved to dance. She loved music, Mary Beth. And she was always dressed beautifully. And introduced her to her grandfather. And she said to him, "You're the boss." That's what she said to him. "You're the boss," she said. And how could you not fall in love with her? How could you not fall in love with that girl? I'm telling you, we had more fun with her. And I still have fun with her. We talked a couple times a day. I talked to her last night and yesterday morning too. Well, she didn't call today, so I don't know where she is.
She'll call.
She'll call. But then after that, John and Linda, they got married. They had a beautiful wedding.
Well, before that, they got married. Before they adopted Mary.
Yeah. Yeah, because they were worried. All their friends were having kids. Most of them had to get married. And they lived in John's grandfather's house on the next street over. And one night John called, it was maybe 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning. He said, "Ma, can you come here?" And I said, "What's the matter?" He said, "Linda's crying. I can't stop her from crying." I said, "Well, why? What's going on?" He said, "Because she wants a baby. Everyone got babies. We don't have babies." I said, "Oh, for God. I'll be right over." I put a coat over my bathrobe, got in the car and went next street. Excuse me. I said, "What the heck are you crying about? You and John, if you wanted to, right now, could get in the car and go someplace. What are all your girlfriends doing that have babies? They're probably changing diapers, feeding the babies." Blah. I said, "I'll have a baby for you. I could have babies." I was willing to have a baby because they couldn't seem to get pregnant. She said, no, no, no. I said, I'm telling you. I'll go wake up Grampy right now, Dad. I'll have a baby in 9 months. She said, no, no. I quieted her down. And the next couple of days, I wrote. I can't tell you how many countries I wrote to, asking for infant baby.
Mm-hmm.
And we got answers from most of them, saying that they only, at that time, you could only adopt within the country.
Mm-hmm.
You had to be living in the country to be able to adopt.
Yeah.
They didn't do, like today, you know, you can adopt from anywhere. But I wrote to, oh my God, all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, they adopted Mary Beth, and then after that they decided they wanted a small one. And I don't know what place they went to for Justin, and they went down to Bogota,
Mm-hmm.
Colombia, and Linda Mitchell, her name was, took care of Mary Beth while they were in Bogota for a week.
Mm-hmm.
And they went to the orphanage and met the little boy they were going to adopt. He was 3 months old.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to do a lot of paperwork, whatever they did, and brought him home.
Mm-hmm.
Brought him home and named him Justin Michael Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
So cute.
What was Justin like when he was little? What were you and Grampy like with Justin?
Oh my God. I remember, was it with Justin? Because they didn't have a crib or anything, because Mary Beth didn't need a crib.
Mm-hmm.
But what your mother and I, and we bought the crib, we bought everything that a baby needed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all you have to do is go to a store and you buy everything, so that the room would be all ready when they came home that week,
Mm-hmm.
which we did.
Mm-hmm.
Which we did. Everything was there, ready. He was a good baby. Both John and Linda loved the babies.
Mm-hmm.
And the baby never saw, like Patrick, he's never going to see the ground.
Yeah.
Go from one hand to another. He was a good baby.
Mm-hmm.
He was a good baby. Then we liked it because then as they got older they could sleep at our house,
Yeah.
which was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were both working, but on the weekends, you know,
Mm-hmm.
if they wanted to leave them, we were happy to take them. Then they decided to, after a couple of years, to adopt again.
Mm-hmm.
And this time, through the adoption agency, it was a little boy from Amarillo, Texas,
Mm-hmm.
3 months old. But they brought him up here to Logan Airport.
Oh.
They named him Ryan David Murphy, a Mexican-American.
Mm-hmm.
Cute as anything. But he had asthma, he had a few difficulties, but he was a good baby. And then they wanted to adopt again. We said, again? And I think by this time your mother had Jonathan too.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a little difficult there because of the cord around his neck.
Mm-hmm.
And your mother wasn't supposed to pick him up or anything, so I told my boss at work, I said, I have to take some time off. I have to stay with my daughter-in-law. She can't pick up that baby.
Mm-hmm.
And I did.
Now, how did you and Grampy feel when Ryan came, and then you had Jonathan too?
Oh my God. I mean, all these kids, all of a sudden, you know, we were young grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, which one do you hug first?
Mm-hmm.
It was just wonderful. It was just wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
You go crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You go crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, we went crazy. Then I went and stayed at your house with Mom for Jonathan. Grampy, he wouldn't sleep over. But I mean, I slept over naturally. But Grampy came every day. And then it was Caitlin. They decided to adopt again.
Mm-hmm.
Again from Bogota.
Mm-hmm.
And this time it was a little girl, but she was 6 months old
Mm-hmm.
when they brought her up here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I got the pictures of her sitting out. So cute. All these kids are so cute. And then you were born later on that year, November 27th. Another cute. But gee, we were having babies left and right over here. And you and Caitlin played together beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
You really did.
Mm-hmm.
You'd go in the pantry and play. Pots and pans, I don't know what you play with. Spoons, I don't know, but don't you remember all the good times we had?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was so much fun. So much fun, I'm telling you. Then as you grew a little bit older, you know, go to the beach, go to Castle Island. It wasn't anything big, but
We thought it was.
to us it was a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you kids got in school, and then Jesse was born, and the boys were starting to play t-ball, and God, I remember Grampy would go to one field, I'd go to the other field. Ryan, he'd be up there, they'd be hitting the ball, it would be coming to him, and he'd be looking around. God. Oh my God, it was so much fun.
He was so cute.
So much fun. We love our grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm having fun with the grandchildren now that they're big.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, then to Sarah, but Grampy didn't know to Sarah, but
Mm-hmm. But when
I've
you
gotten to know.
you met her, how was
oh
that?
my God. That's the thing she made. It's on the doorknob still there.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful child. She's very smart
Mm-hmm.
and a nice girl.
Mm-hmm.
Just love it. And Grampy would have loved her.
Mm-hmm.
He really would have.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you kids love her too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
She's a nice little girl. She's a Mahile.
Mm-hmm. And what about the new baby?
Oh, Patrick.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, when Ryan and Sandra got married over 3 years ago, and then when Ryan called one day, he says, what would you like to be called? Great Grandma? Oh my God, I dropped the phone almost. And they told us they were pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
God, and then we went up to see him. Had a precious little baby there.
Mm-hmm.
I feel bad because we can't see him every week
Mm-hmm.
like we saw the other kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you kids, if we wanted you, we said, we're taking her for the weekend. I remember one time, you didn't sleep over for a while. I remember one time, Caitlin and Uncle George and Auntie Kay were over the house, and she said, I'm staying 1,000 days, she said. I'm staying for 1,000 days. And she would sit inside the dryer. Or I would put you kids in the washing machine and take a picture in the bathtub.
What about Jessica? How was she when she came to your
Well,
house when she was
Jessica
little?
thought she was Jessica's Grampy. I'm Grampy's favorite, she'd always say. I'm his favorite. And she probably was at the time, because she was the baby.
Mm-hmm. She was the baby.
She was the baby.
Mm-hmm.
And she was funny. I remember in the pool, in a little bathing suit and a little thing. And she was funny. Whatever Grampy wanted, if she said, Grampy, rub my feet, he would rub her feet. And do this, and Grampy would do that.
Mm-hmm. And he loved it when she was fresh, too. Even when she was
did.
fresh, he loved her.
Oh, God. Oh, my God. I'm telling you, I wish she could have lived to see you kids growing up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He'd still be hugging and kissing you.
Mm-hmm. What do you think he'd say about Patrick?
Oh, my God. Be bragging all over the place. He'd be bragging all over. That's what I wrote now to these people that I haven't seen him in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end there, I said, Happy holidays to you and the family. And by the way, I have a 3-month-old great-grandson.
Mm-hmm. So now, did you ever think that you'd be a great-grandmother?
Never. Never thought that. Thank you, Lord. Never. Oh, my God. Oh, God. But I only wished if they had lived closer. And maybe not right now because he's so little.
Mm-hmm.
But after a year old,
Mm-hmm.
they probably would say, hey, Grammy, come and take this kid for a couple of days, will you? That's what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm so happy with him.
And he's having his first Christmas, and you sent him his Christmas card, right?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And his first
Halloween.
Thanksgiving.
And Halloween.
Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's coming up next will be Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
Be on the lookout for these cards.
Mm-hmm.
And first Easter and all the holidays.
Mm-hmm. And he's Irish too, so first St. Patty's Day.
Oh, brother. And I had an Irish knit sweater made for him.
Yep.
I hope they liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they didn't. Maybe they didn't open it yet till Christmas.
Mm-hmm. I bet.
Yeah.
What about when Auntie Linda and Uncle John got married and my mom and my dad got married? How was that? How were those weddings?
Oh, the weddings were beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I know Uncle John, for whatever reason, he decided to get married in our church.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want anything to do with the Catholic Church. Something about the Vietnam War or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He really never discussed that.
Mm-hmm.
But his mother and father were wonderful people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Ryan,
really
Lillian.
wonderful
Yeah.
people. She said, please include me in on what's going on. I said, of course.
Mm-hmm.
She said, I have no girls.
Mm-hmm.
And she paid for the flowers, and they paid for the liquor, that you could bring your own liquor
Mm-hmm.
at the time. We had a Greek band. It was a beautiful wedding. She had, I think, 21 people dressed up.
And the wedding party?
Yep. Nice reception. Everybody had a good time. Even at David and Roxanne's wedding, they had it at Lombardo's in East Boston, and Roxanne included me in and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I was like her second mother.
Mm-hmm.
She did herself. I mean,
Mm-hmm. She had
maybe the father helped her a little bit. I'm not sure, but I said, Roxanne, is it okay if I have a Greek band too? She said, yeah, ma, whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
So we had two bands, you know. They had a beautiful wedding.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. She looked lovely. They had a nice honeymoon in the Poconos.
Mm-hmm.
They had a beautiful wedding. It was lovely. And nice pictures.
Mm-hmm. What about when my parents were dating? What did you think when you first met my mom?
Oh, we loved her.
Mm-hmm.
David never brought anybody home.
Mm-hmm.
And then we bought a black leather couch
Mm-hmm.
for the den.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we had a black leather chair. And we bought a red rug.
Mm-hmm.
Black and red. And David had told his girlfriend, you should see our den.
Mm-hmm.
We have a beautiful red rug and the black leather and everything. I want you to see it.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, can I bring this girl home?
Mm-hmm.
I told her how nice the den looks. But we Albanians, we're pretty clean people anyways. And we said, sure, David. And he brought home, God, she was so cute. Thin little girl. We liked her right away.
Mm-hmm.
She was very, very outgoing. Oh, she said, complimented the rug and the... And then they started, they were going steady
Mm-hmm.
since high school.
Mm-hmm.
I think Roxanne said to me one time, her best friend in high school was a girl named Sandra Caparella.
Mm-hmm.
And she was talking with Sandra one day, and she said, I'm going steady with this nice boy. His name is David Mihail. Sandra said, David Mihail? She said, yeah. I said, that's my first cousin. Your first cousin? Yeah. My mother and her mother are sisters. I mean, his mother.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine
That's
that?
funny. Oh, that's funny.
Because I went to Dorchester High.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they had a nice engagement and everything.
Yeah.
David could only have the car one night a week.
Mm-hmm.
But they lived close to each other. They could walk to each other's houses.
Mm-hmm.
It was different in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Like you the kids today have long-distance relationships.
Mhm.
You have to have a car and so forth.
What about when you met my mom's grandmother?
Oh, what a nice lady.
Didn't she come over your house?
Well, after your mother told me her story that she lived with her grandmother and whatever went on there, I said, bring Nana to the house one day. And she did. And I had a little piano in the bedroom. I gave it to you people with the notes and everything. And she was quiet. I fell in love with her. She was lovely. I was showing her around the apartment, and she sat down and started to play. Oh my God, Nana, you know how to play the piano. She played by ear. And she's playing right. Can you imagine that?
She's smart.
She was she was a lovely person. Your mother loved her grandmother. She loved her grandmother. And she loved David. And Nana loved David. That I know. That I know.
And she went on dates with them, too. And
Did she?
And she'd sit in the front seat at the drive-in movie.
Really? Oh, that I didn't know.
Yeah, she used to go on dates with them.
Oh, that's funny. That I didn't know. She was a lovely woman. I liked her a lot. She was a nice, nice lady. She was a nice lady. Couldn't say anything about her.
What about when, when my parents got married and after they're married, what about when you guys came down? Did my parents ever tell Grampy that he couldn't do anything or that he couldn't paint the house? Remember, what would they say?
When they had the house...
Whatever you want to do, Grampy, right?
When they had the house on Rockland Street. Because the first little apartment they had here in Quincy. And they had a new car. And that car got smashed. Anyways, thank God nobody was in it. Then they went to this little house in Brockton. And we went there. Your mother's friends, the older people owned the house. It was cute. I liked it. Then they bought this little house on Rockland Street in Abington. And the house was nice. I just didn't like the couple of steps to get into the kitchen and a couple of steps to go down from the living room. I was afraid of steps because of the kids. Anyways, I don't know if it was your father or mother one time said the house needs to be painted. Grampy said, I'll paint it. Because he used to have off during the week. And he didn't ask him what color. I said, gee, Dad, you got to ask him what color. He says, I'm going to do it dark brown.
Do you think that they minded what color Grampy chose?
They didn't care. As long as the house was painted. I have pictures of those too. Grampy made like a hat for himself. And we bought the paint, dark brown. And he proceeded to paint the house. And you could do it because it wasn't a big house. Boom, boom, and Jonathan be out there helping. And I have pictures of those too. And it came out good, the dark brown. It looked good.
I remember.
It did good. The only thing I didn't like about that house, because it had the big window in the living room there, and the couch was in front of that big window. At nighttime, there was all woods in the back there. Yeah, I didn't like that too much. That I didn't like. I would pull the curtains so you wouldn't see the woods out there. So it was kind of hard walking out there because it was rocky. Remember, it was rocky there. But it served the purpose. Served the purpose.
I have other questions for you too. What was your proudest moment with Auntie Linda? And then say what it was with my dad. Your proudest moment.
I would say the proudest moment, naturally, when they had the kids. When they said we're going to adopt Mary Beth, 5 years old, at first Grampy said, 5 years old, that's old. Could have trouble with something. He didn't like the idea, but you could not get a baby at that time. For love nor money, you just couldn't. They were not available. Oh, but after she came, naturally.
Mhm.
The first grandchild, like with Jonathan, the first grandchild, and his name was Mihail, and there's something, especially for the men, I don't know, to carry on the family name, I guess. You know? I know when we had Linda, never mind my parents, but my father-in-law too, he went crazy because he lived with us.
Yeah.
And then when we had David, he even went crazier. In the summertime when the ice cream man would come, and there was only 10 cents in, because he budgeted himself, the old man, and he would give them 10 cents every night for the ice cream man. And be right there, either on the porch or out on the sidewalk. The ice cream man would stop right in front of the house on Dick Street. And he would take Linda on Sundays to church. He would go early. We'd say, "Wait for us, Pop. We'll drive." No. And he would take Linda with him. He liked to get there early and chit-chat and light the candles, whatever he did. And then Linda and she got sang in the choir. David was an altar boy, and then he sang in the choir too. He did. He didn't like that too much, but he did. It was fun times. Fun times.
What about how about what languages do you speak? Did your parents speak? Your grandparents?
Well, my grandparents only spoke Albanian. My grandfather could understand English a little bit, but really couldn't talk it. But my father, he could speak English good. Of course, my mother, she was fluent in English, but naturally Albanian was their language. But we spoke Albanian before we went to school because my grandmother would talk to us in Albanian. I mean, especially my sister Kay and I. Keatsy, not so much. He would be like, "Little, can I have some book?" he'd say. Half and half. But Kay and I spoke it, and then after we got married, I learned how to read it, I learned how to write it. I would write to my mother-in-law, to all the relatives in Albanian. I did. I learned how. It's a very easy language, as a matter of fact. And we went to Albania. We took the kids back in 1966. It was a wonderful trip. We met my mother-in-law. My father-in-law was there at the time. Met Grampy's brother and his family and his sister and all the 8 first cousins that he had, and his aunt and his uncle. Everybody was alive then. That was one of his proudest moments, taking his family to meet his mother, who he hadn't seen. Well, he had been there in 62, but he hadn't seen her since 1939 till 1962. And here he came back with his wife, 17-year-old daughter, a 13-year-old son. Man. And his people are so nice. We just had a great time. We did.
If you could give any advice to your grandchildren, to your great-grandchildren, about life and love and having a successful life, because I'd say that you had a successful life, a successful marriage.
We did.
You know, what would it be?
My mother always told us, never go to bed mad. Never go to bed mad, with your spouse, especially. I have my friend Emily. She would go to bed mad and stay mad for 4 days and sleep in the same bed. How could you do that? How could you do that? Never do that.
Never do that.
Never go talk about everything. Talk about everything before you get married. Don't talk about it afterwards. You have to discuss everything. How many children you expect to have, financial matters, who's good at saving, who's not good. There's always one or the other. I was a spender. But that was okay with Grampy because I would spend, like when you kids, I would take care of the Christmas and birthdays and whatever. Sometimes I would put a few bucks away in the same bank account, of course. Grampy took care of the bills, but I knew every bill that was coming in. You have to discuss everything. You really do. You really do. That's one thing you have to do. Never go to bed mad. You know, and you got to be loving towards your husband. I've told you before, but I'm not going to say it now. You know, when you start having your children, the husband feels like he's left out. Never make him feel that way, because that's when they start to wander. No matter how tired you are, you know what I told you to do.
And you said the husband's always number one, right? Because
Absolutely.
couldn't get the kids without the husband.
Absolutely.
He's always your number one.
Yeah, I told you, kids. Grampy was the first one in my heart. There's plenty of room there left over for our kids and our grandkids and our great grandkids too. The heart is big enough for everybody. But Grampy had the most part of it. Definitely. Without him, what would I have?
And how long were you married before he passed away?
52 years.
52 years. You had 52 good years.
Good years. We went after he retired. Some people don't know what to do with themselves. Why not? Grampy would go out in the morning because he would take his walks at Castle Island. And then he worked at Sullivan's a few days too. That was good because I was used to getting up every morning and going to work. Now that we were retired, I didn't have to get up and go to work. I could putter around the house, do what I had to do, wash the clothes or whatever. Wait for Grampy to come home. We'd have lunch. If it's a nice day, we'd go out. We liked going to the beach in the summer, you know, getting tanned. We liked going to visit. We liked, if there was a game, you'd sit down and watch a game. I wouldn't say, oh, you got to watch another game. I'd get in the car and I'd say, I'm going down Bradley's. I'll be gone a couple of hours. He'd say, okay. You just don't argue about stupid things like that. It's crazy. And where can you go all the time? Like I said to your mother one day, where did you and David go? I mean, you don't like the same things. She said, well, maybe a concert or a play. Well, I know David don't like plays. Your mother does, I do. But we always went to see these stars out in Framingham all the time. I told you, like Humperdinck there, the Oak Ridge Boys. But us girls all went together. The guy said, go ahead. They could have cared less. Unless there was some sexy girl out there or something, you know. But we'd like to go and visit. We would go to my Uncle Nick's every week. Even after he died, we went to Olga's every Tuesday. Jeannie would be there, or Helen would be there. We'd have a couple of drinks of Metaxa and just talk for a couple of hours. It was nice just to talk. Well, it was nice. Going to church, we loved going to church. We saw all our friends. And they had picnics. Not anymore, that's too bad, but what can you do?
What about advice about getting older? You know, I know you keep busy, but how have you been, you know, getting older, and you've had such a good life, so, you know, what's the best part about getting older?
Well, first of all, what I liked, I retired. That was good. It's not so good financially, but it's good. Especially if you have your spouse with you. Because we went to Florida every year. Fun driving down there. We had fun. We'd sing all the way. And it was fun even being down there. Everyone's going to get older, honey. You don't go with Botox and this and that. Why? I mean, if Grampy saw me now with my brown spots and everything, he was going to have brown spots too. We're going to have them together. You just go along with it. I mean, your insides are old.
Mhm.
I mean, you've seen some of these people on TV.
Mhm.
Some of these movie stars, they're 80 years old and they got hair down to here.
Mhm.
Red, blonde, whatever color. Don't they look stupid? They do look stupid.
Mhm.
I mean, even the guys, I mean, jeez, you look at their skin stretched out to here. What's her name? Joan Rivers there. Have you ever seen her?
Yeah.
Doesn't she look horrible?
Yeah.
She does.
Mhm.
She really does. I mean, God. You know, I notice Regis once in a while, his hair's all dyed.
Mhm.
Why? Let it go gray. I remember my sister Van one time, she said, I'll never be gray. And I wasn't for a while. And I said, that was a big job.
Mhm.
God, I hated that. Oh, this is too much for me. Now my granddaughter takes me for a pedicure, manicure once a month.
Yeah.
That I like.
Mhm. Yeah, that's fun.
Or a haircut, get a perm, get a haircut, nice. Okay, that's okay to do that.
Mhm.
That's fine.
Let's see. Do you have any closing words of advice or anything that you want to say?
Closing words.
Because this is going to go to all your grandkids and the little one too, and the great grandkids.
Well, don't try to keep up with the Joneses is one thing.
Mhm.
Never do that.
Mhm.
The Joneses might have more money than you, but don't think you have more money than they do.
Mhm.
They probably don't have it either.
Mhm.
They're probably trying to keep up with the Smiths across the street.
Mhm.
You have to go by what's in your pocketbook, honey.
Mhm.
Yeah, make sure the kids get a good education. That's very important today. You have to have an education. So you can get a good job and get a good paying job. And hopefully have a job.
Mhm.
Hopefully have a job. Just stay calm. You go through all this mishmash.
Mhm.
I mean, we have to forget these things.
Mhm.
Everybody has little arguments or this or that, whatever. Just, I say let everything go now. I've let everything go,
Mhm.
and I'm happier for it, and whatever happens, happens.
And never go to bed angry. Right?
Never, never go to bed angry. Never, never, never. And hopefully you'll have nice grandchildren like we have. And make these videos. I can't stand that camera, it's so cute. My granddaughters are so wonderful to me, and my grandsons. I just love them to death. I hope I live another 20 years. Oh, yeah.
You will.
Thank you, Christine. I love you.
All right, love you too.